the day all my dreams come true. Feel the Spirit working its way through. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and high up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it.
All right, thank you, Bradfords. Welcome to West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. Good morning. My name is Reverend Clyde Goings, and I want to welcome you here on this beautiful Sunday morning. And our theme this year is
Let's be remarkable.
Let's Be Remarkable. We had a remarkable Gourmets for God dinner last night. We had a lot of fun, a lot of good food. I made chocolate tres leche cake. And it was really good. So next year you better be bidding on my dinners, or mine and Mark's dinners. Yeah, it was really good, really great time. All right, so the probably two quick announcements. The first one is Reverend Karen's foundation class has already started on Wednesday. So if you're interested, it's Wednesday afternoons at 1 to 3, I think it is. And it's not too late to join the class. So if you're interested in joining, please join. It's if you're ready to change your life or ready to learn and grow and go deeper. Both cases, if you've taken it before, it's something that you will definitely experiencing some higher consciousness with. So please join her. Also, hot off the press, the Dining with the Dudes wanted to make sure that we had plenty of participation, and we're supporting the business meeting that's coming up on the 19th. And so we're changing our date for the Dining with the Dudes. We're going to do it on the 19th, the weekend of the 19th. I'm sorry? Yeah, so we're going to do it. We're still doing the Super Bowl theme. We're going to be doing tailgate food. So please join us on the 19th for the tailgate food, and then stay for the business meeting to hear all the wonderful things that we've done and what we're going to do. All right? And then the one last announcement that I want to give you guys is that if you could bring that slide up, Kendra. So we are doing a fundraiser this month. It's my personal fundraiser that I shared with you guys last week. It's regarding the Fry's Reward Program. And so the way that we're going to do this is, you can see where the food is in Papke Hall, right? So I want to make it visible to everybody. So as a community member, if you let me know that you're signed up for the Fry's Reward and you've designated our center as the beneficiary, so you still get everything you get from Fry's, but we get money. Remember, so like I shared with you, we can get up to $50,000 a quarter, but we need people to sign up and we need you to shop. Okay? So anyway, so if you're signed up, or if you're not sure if you're signed up, I can help you get signed up. And then we're going to put our names on the wall, and you can see the brown squares. That's going to be our community names. Then what we're going to do, and don't worry, if you don't remember this, I'm going to be saying this every Sunday. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to ask that you at least talk to your friends and family members and people. Like, for example, I'm going to talk to my contractor and my realtor, and I'm going to ask them if they're shopping at Fry's. And then I'm going to ask them if they've designated somebody to also get the points. And if not, then I'm going to ask them to designate our center. And so when we add other people, then what we're going to do is we're going to add a different color for all of the people that we add that's outside of our community that's also supporting our community. This is a very visual, and again, it's right where the food is, so everybody can see how we're doing. All right? So we're going to be doing this, and you're going to get tired of it, but we're going to do it the whole quarter, because this is free money, you guys. And we like free money. All right. No, the carpet is, yeah. Yes. Let me give you, and I'm sorry, Reverend Karen, but one other announcement on the carpet, since Kathy brought it up. So we have the funds for the carpet, and we are working with the contractor. So the contractor that was going to do this became ill, and so we're still working that out. So the carpet is in flight. We just need to land it. Okay, so it's coming. And so as soon as we get a date, that date, believe me, you will know that it's going to happen. And then we're going to do all kinds of stuff to this carpet. All right. I think that's all the announcements. Kathy, do you have anything else? Okay. All right, so let's, as we start off every Sunday remembering our truth, let's start off with our vision statement. We are a loving, joy-filled community, honoring the many paths to God as we learn and live the science of mind principles. And so it is. So if you could just sit back, open up your hearts and minds for the Bradford's beautiful meditation song and Reverend Karen's beautiful message. Thank you.
I will make a quiet place within my heart. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my mind. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my life.
And I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place.
As we just take this moment to acquiesce to Spirit, knowing that it fills this house with abiding love, that the words of Reverend Karen have been spoken to her heart and are cherished through her beautiful presence on this planet as she shares them with us today, as the music is shared with us today, as we know that today is the perfect day. For God is the silence, and in that silence, we acquiesce to Spirit, that there is only one. There is only one man, there is only one moment, there is only one here and now. And this is the perfection of life. This is the perfection of God. This is the perfection of truth. And as we share each of these things within our spirit today, it flows forth out into the community, out into our online presence, and that energized, magnetic beauty of love is all there is. It is all that's felt, and it is all that's known. Therefore, it is all that is received, and so it is. Today, I am reading from The Freedom of Stress by Ernest Holmes. The Spirit, out of prolific possibilities of itself, does deliver to each one of us individually and to all of us collectively as much of itself or its being as we at any time are able to accept. When we deal with creative power of our own spirit, we are dealing with the creative power of the only spirit that there is. Because there can only be one life principle, there can only be one God, and therefore there can only be one man. We are all that man. We say God is good, but who says it except the goodness of man proclaiming it? So it seems legitimate that we should desire a betterment of circumstances and a greater good. We should be 1,000 times happier than we have ever been, but we limit the possibility of our happiness to the external rather to the internal, the beloved within. I just invite you to take these words in for a few moments. And so it is.
So I've been wanting to do this song a long time. You guys got to help me out with the rhythm. And the chorus part is real easy. Are you ready? Okay. You don't have to say a word, and it comes in every language. You can see it in every nation. It helps communication. Smile on, pass it on. Smile on, pass it on. It's like a shining sun up high in the sky. And when you blink your eyes, it's like a nice surprise. Take your time, as long as you make the time to be happy. Smile on, smile on, pass it on, pass it on. Smile on, pass it on. Do 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 do. Let me see those smiles. Do 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 do. Yeah. You got to keep moving, keep moving. You got to keep moving, yeah. Hey, got to keep moving, keep moving. You got to keep moving, keep moving. It's a universal sign. Everyone can do it. Let me see it. You can change people's minds if you choose to use it. Let me hear you. Smile on, pass it on, pass it on. Smile on, pass it on. Smile on, pass it on. Smile on, pass it on. All right, let me see those pearly whites. Everybody, let me see that smile. Now look to your left, look to your right. Pass it on, pass that love on. Yeah, let me see it. That is love in action. Yeah, you got to keep moving, keep moving. Oh, got to keep moving, yeah. Hey, you got to keep moving, keep moving. You got to keep moving, keep moving. It's a universal sign. Everyone can do it. Yeah. You can change people's minds if you choose to use it. Smile on, pass it on. Everybody sing it. Smile on, pass it on. 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 Smile. Love you guys.
Well, that was fun. Oh, thank you for that, Bradfords. Oh, I love that you found that in your soul and you said, I want to do that. Good morning. Welcome to the West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Karen Rice, and I'm so delighted to be the spiritual leader of a community that just has that smile, that love. Hey, you guys, you made it down the mountain. A lot of snow up there. Yes? Oh, and so we come together and we jump through some hoops so that we can sit together in here and smile and remember that this is the day the Lord has made, and I'm just so happy to be here. Had fun last night at Reverend Clyde's house. Didn't we have a good time? Good food, good company, conversation was rich and fun, and boy, he can make a cake. I'm telling you, he's got some talents I didn't know he had. I don't like that kind of cake. Yeah, but you would make it rich in it. You know, you would have butter in it. I don't like butter. But he did the chocolate, and oh, that was really easy to eat. So we are here to find that delicious meal that's been prepared for us, and I have an interesting conversation to have with you this morning. The title of my message is Spiritual Revival. Now, I have a confession to make that since I came here 12 years ago, I came here as the senior minister, I have had a vision of a real tent revival in that parking lot. And that we all have to park across the street in the back field here because we're going to have a big old tent and we're going to really rev up some energy. And we're going to do spirituality in the way that we do it in New Thought, where there's just no boundaries, where everybody's accepted and loved, and we honor all religious and spiritual traditions that have found their way to sort of point the direction or to keep the Godward gaze so that we can anchor ourselves in this spiritual conviction that I want to talk about today. And we all have it. We just have different ways of speaking to it and talking about it and how it shows up in our lives. So what I'm looking at is this idea of reviving our own inner sense of spirituality, feeling closer to God, having communion with that Creator that brought all things into being and sustains us and helps us to find that spiritual solution to the problems that we see in our lives and in the world. We're going to rev up that conviction within us today if we do this well. We're doing this well, one way or another. I'm going to do my part. You want to do your part by just opening up and noticing that some of the things I say today may not interest you, but there's going to be something here for you. That each of you, yes, something there will be. There is a gem for each and every one of you, and if you miss it, it won't be my fault. All right, so we often start the new year by saying, looking for intentions. So in the spiritual circle, in a church setting, we wouldn't so much talk about your New Year resolutions. what you resolve to maybe accomplish as a goal. But we talk about setting intentions and about being conscious, to be intentional in the vision you have for your life in this upcoming year. And we have traditions right here in the way that we worship in this church, in this spiritual center. And I'm so happy to say I see Sue Witter sitting right over here. She's one of our longtime practitioners and an intern in the School of Ministry right now, halfway through her program already. And Sue has a couple of traditions that we very seldom give anybody else the privilege of leading. I understand you got to help this year. Our newest minister in the crowd. We have a lot of ministers here now. It's wonderful. But Sue's traditions that she has brought to this church, even before I was the minister here, include December 31st, she leads a burning bowl ceremony. It's an evening ceremony, is that correct? And then, and you know what you do in the burning bowl ceremony is you look back at the year you just lived. We look back at personally, but we also look at the collective year that all of us have experienced based on global things that are happening and unfolding all the time. But we then also look at what is it in all of those things that have happened, what am I ready to let go of? And then there's this beautiful ceremony to release and let go. And then on the very first Sunday of January, Sue always takes the pulpit because I go on vacation then. I'm always real tired by then. So I get out of Dodge and she does that. Traditionally, the first Sunday of the year is Sue Witter's, and she does it in a way that we set intentions. Often that comes probably more time. She does all kinds of things because she's very creative, but she does it with a, what do you call it, white stone ceremony? A white stone ceremony. And in a ceremony such as that, you choose a word. One word, and she'll carry you through an exercise so that you can kind of notice. We open the field to all the possibilities that are out there so that you can hunker down and grab that word that's going to be a good guiding word for you through the year. I do that for myself. I do that for us as a community. And as you know, the word this year is remarkable. Right? We want to learn and figure out how to be remarkable. And today I'm going to be talking about stirring up our spiritual conviction to have that inner spiritual revival so that we can be remarkable. But beyond that word that you choose as your sort of intention for the year, beyond that word, you have another word that you didn't choose. There is a word that is your word for how you show up in the world. There is a quality that you bring to life that you can sum up in one word, and you know what? You're probably thinking about it right now, aren't you? What is my word? But the truth is, you already know your word. And if you don't know what your word is, think of what people say to you when they talk to you about how they see you. You know, there's a word, there's a class in the foundation class that I'm teaching right now about midway through. We take one lesson, we take a portion of one lesson where we talk about uncovering our gift. See, I think your word is connected to your spiritual gift, and in fact, it probably is your spiritual gift because you didn't choose it, it chose you. You came to the planet to reveal that expression of life, whatever that is your word. People sometimes tell me my word is passion or enthusiasm, right? And so not everybody can be passionate and enthusiastic in the same way that I am. You wouldn't want to be me on many days. Some days that passion and enthusiasm makes it hard to go to sleep. It means I can't drink as much caffeine as some of you, right? So we find your balance, but you got a word. And you know what? If you have a BFF, you got somebody you trust in your life, when they tell you what they appreciate about you, they are describing you and they are using that word. So what's your word? Think about it right now. What do you know that you know that you know is your word? Raise your hand if you think you know what your word is. Raise your hand. Come on, you know what it is. All right, now I'm going to ask just a few of you to share. If you know what your word is and you want to share, raise your hand. Deborah?
Bright.
Say it again.
Bright.
B-R-I-G-H-T, bright. Boy, does that fit, Deborah. That is a God-given gift of yours. We absolutely affirm that with you. Who else is willing to share? Mary? Positive. Wonderful. Somebody over here. Strength. Very good. I see a new hand back. I can't remember your name. Suzanne, yes. Kind. And her friend is nodding. Yes, she is. You see how that works? Felicia. Wisdom. Yay. All right. So we say, Lulu? Loving. Very good. All right. You know what your word is. If you haven't hunkered down and owned it right now, I hope before you leave here today that you will have a clear sense of what your word is, because your word is your spiritual gift. And that you cannot bring that the planet will not have what you bring in the way that you bring it if you don't let it shine forth. And so we're going to start by recognizing that there's a way in which we can let our light shine simply by aligning to the truth of what already has been revealed, the truth of who we are. That's how you live your best life. That's how we can be remarkable, is to really consciously acknowledge whatever that is that you are here to bring more of on the planet. Not only that, but more than ever before, this planet needs us to bring forth our best. All of humanity, we're all looking for a way to get along and to practice kindness and to be more loving and to bring our enthusiasm, whatever your gifts are, to contribute to helping to create a world that works for everyone and for, I like to add, for every living thing. This is how we develop spiritual conviction, is we build on what we've got that we can then strengthen and expand on so that it becomes obvious, it becomes palpable, it becomes something real in the world. And so I chose a quote today, my theme quote that got me all fired up in presenting this topic. Comes from Dr. Ernest Holmes, who's the founder of this teaching. And Dr. Holmes wrote it I found this quote in a favorite book of mine. Can we talk to God? Can we? Absolutely, absolutely. Can we talk to God? It's a book on prayer. It's beautiful. Here are the words of Dr. Holmes. The world needs spiritual revival more than anything else. It does not need that we should all become Methodists or Catholics or religious scientists. It needs spiritual conviction. Yeah. Yeah, what the world needs is that spiritual conviction. So I really love reading Holmes because he often will speak to that idea of consciously feeding the passion or the conviction, the fervor for spiritual truth and for reverence. Even he also uses the word enthusiasm quite a bit. So where in our lives can we demonstrate more of that conviction? Think about your own life. And how can using your word help fire up that conviction so that it won't be missing on the earth? What areas of your life can you just kind of use as a spiritual practice to strengthen what's good about your qualities, your best qualities? I fully agree with Holmes that we need a spiritual revival. I'm fully committed for us as a spiritual community to be remarkable in 2023 and all the work that we, in the ways that we are a spiritual community. Last week was my first Sunday back after my vacation, and so I gave a talk, sort of an overview on this idea of what it means to be remarkable. And I used a lot of definitions that tie in with the Latin origins of words like religion and spirituality. And what we learned was that these words literally tell us that to be spiritual is to be secure in our reverence for life. To have that awe and let God amaze you every day. To be spiritual is to literally, again, gather ourselves up. So you know what I like about that is that we can be scattered. I was scattered this morning because I didn't get enough sleep. I went out. I don't usually go out on Saturday nights, So we gather ourselves up. We come back to our center. And in that way, and here's another definition of spirituality, it's binding ourselves back to our spiritual source. Binding ourselves back. And it uses the word again when you look at the literal translations, again, which means it's an ongoing process. It doesn't mean that you wander away and you've done, and truth is over here and you've turned your back on it for a minute while you're angry at the world or the politicians or whatever. It doesn't mean that's wrong or bad. It just means that there are times where we want to return to the reverence, to the center, to the place where we're strong and we're clear and we can let our light shine again, so that we can be a part of the light that the world needs, and rather than the shadow sides. And we can do that by intentionality. So when I look at the word remarkable, my definition for the word remarkable is to be alive with God, and I'm using some of Holmes' words here, to be saturated with divinity. See, you already are saturated with divinity. You can't deny that. What is that miraculous way that our bodies know how to heal? And we're sick and we need a surgeon, and the surgeon knows how to cut into us and rearrange things or take out things that don't belong there. And then the surgeon trusts that there's an intelligence in our body that's going to mend the intervention that is going to heal the skin and the muscles and the things that have had medical attention. Even the surgeon trusts the process, or they wouldn't be doing what they do. Because we are incredibly made, we are saturated with divinity. So, we are looking now at just establishing or possibly, hopefully, reestablishing a strong reverence and spiritual conviction. Now, do you know, I love this because I don't think everybody realizes this, but we have this big old textbook. It's called The Science of Mind, and we call it the textbook. And in the back of that book, Dr. Holmes wrote his own definitions for everything he talks about. There's a glossary in the back of the book, and you can look up words. You would be surprised what words he thought might be important to define for us to know how he was using them in the context of when he wrote the book. And so I looked up, I thought, did he write a definition for conviction? And he did. He did. He wanted us to think of conviction in this way, that it is compelling the admission of a truth. Do you know what compelling means? It's like we're trying to convince or persuade. But who are you trying to convince or persuade? Yourself. Absolutely. Absolutely. So to have conviction is to have a compelling admission of truth. Lord, I sense your presence right here, right now. I admit it. I am fully convinced. I don't need any persuasion. I get it. Right where I am is the fullness of God, that I am never left alone, that there is always guidance. There is always that divine support. At any moment, I can turn within and I can feel, if I just quiet my busy mind from all the worry thoughts, I can feel the arms of God supporting me and loving me. We all have the ability to do that, but we have to choose to take time to be quiet, to be aware, to have some kind of a spiritual practice that takes us back to that center again, to gather us up so we can be binding ourselves again back to that source. Ralph Waldo Emerson had something to say about enthusiasm and that conviction we're talking about. He said, every great and commanding movement ever is the triumph of enthusiasm. Nothing great was ever achieved without it. I know that if I look at my own high choices that I've made when I've been God-centered, I can feel that enthusiasm. The Greeks say it's the breath of God. It's that moment where we are aware that we are God-filled. So we're talking about something, if you've been here often, you know I like that. I talk about that quickening, that something that happens in that inner way where there's kind of a fiery inner something. That's where those aha moments come from, right? Those momentary realizations like, oh, that's what that's meant all along. And I get it now. And then we forget and we have to do it again later. But that's okay. That's just part of life. So that enthuse is, as the Greeks say, God-filled, is the breath of life. It's being invigorated. It's when we are compelled to do what is ours to do in that highest and most perfect way. Louis Pasteur said that the Greeks have given us one of the most beautiful words of our language, and that word is enthusiasm, a God within. A scientist, imagine. The grandeur of the acts of men are measured by the inspiration from which they spring. You know, it's bubble forth in that way. And then he says, happy is he or she who bears a God within. Bear, not like bearing a burden. Bearing like producing fruit, coming to fruition, you know. It's a whole different meaning. So it's a blessing, and it's stirred by this inner noble knowing. I made that up. Isn't that great? It's ink, I-N-K, if you want to remember it, because it's like if it's written in ink, then it's permanent. And that inner noble knowing is definitely that which is permanent within us. But we have to be still to tap into it. We have to get out of the crazy hecticness to be reinvigorated and anchored in that reverence. I thought I had nothing to say today. Boy, I was wrong on... Rod? High five, buddy. Are you gloating? It's about to get scientific, and I'm gonna do it though. Watch this. Watch how I do this. When I am stirred with an inner noble knowing, when you are stirred with an inner noble knowing, you have touched the hem of the garment, and you are healed. We have those moments. We need those moments to sustain our well-being, because we are always healed from the inside out. It happens in the inner realm first. So I wanted to say this. Enthusiasm and conviction it's not like that's a healing agent. In other words, it's not like you leave here now and you go and you try and get all enthusiastic about something in life and wow, you're going to be healed of whatever ails you or whatever you feel is lacking in your life. Your healing your conviction for the ability to heal from anything is proportionately, it corresponds exactly to your own belief. That's what Jesus said. It is done unto you as you believe. So how much conviction do we have that we can be healed? That's where we start. That's a really good starting point. But the twist in that is that it's not the excitement, it's not the fiery quickening that you're going to make happen. It actually, you can't make that happen. It's more like we have to get out of the way and quit trying so hard. We want a spiritual practice where we are intentionally creating an environment where that is likely to just happen from within us in the way that it feels like, it feels like, you know, for me, it sort of feels like God finds me. Like I've been hiding somehow. I haven't been living up to my word or my quality. And when I can sit and open myself to have that moment of quickening, it's like God finds me. But see, God's not lost, you know, and I'm not hiding really. I can't hide from God. It's more like in my willingness to sit still or to have a spiritual practice, to be committed to pondering spiritual truths and possibilities. Imagine if we all just held a vision of peace on this planet, of healing the environment, of getting along with each other no matter what. If we did that in a unified way, well, that's touching the hem of the garment. That's bringing our best qualities. That's letting our light shine, and we aren't tripping over each other when we're trying to just have our moment. So there's something that happens through spiritual practice where it all sort of coalesces. It comes together. It's important because then we realize I don't make enthusiasm. I don't make that, right? That's my gift. I know that's one of my gifts, but I have to, if I want that gift to be divinely displayed and used, I want God to use me, to use my enthusiasm in a reverent and useful way, then what I want to do is be humble enough to remember that it's not my power and it's not me making the power. It's me sitting and knowing there is a power and a presence that is greater than I am, and all of us can use it. All of us. It's more like empowerment comes through our surrender and our recognition of that. We let go so that the Holy Spirit can move through us. Have you ever played with a compass?
I was a Boy Scout,
Of course. I was in the Scouts. Of course I did. I don't know. I was a Girl Scout. I don't remember ever playing with the compass as a Girl Scout. I bet they would make it fair now. The girls now get to play with compasses. We probably needed it more too. We don't seem to be as directionally inclined. At least I'm not. I know up really well because I practice the Godward gaze regularly. That's about it for me. I bought a compass once. It was like a toy compass, and I kept it in my beach bag, and we were always on the central coast of California. And you know, what's funny is, you know that when you're at the beach in California, that the ocean is west, because you've all seen a map, right? You think the ocean is west, but you forget that the coastline is like really curvy, and that sometimes when we would be driving home from the beach, because we had a 4-hour drive from where our cabin was to home, and we had to get Hugh back to work every Monday morning for 3 years. And so we would be driving home, and there was a place down by Santa Barbara where the how did it work? The rising sun would be in the rising sun seemed to be over the ocean. That's what would happen. It's like, and then you would be really confused. I'd be sitting there. And so I bought a compass one day and I went, I want to know, we're always in this little chunk of coastline. I want to know which way is north and really west. I want to know the real, where am I? So I would take it, I'd be climbing down the bluffs and I'd find a rock that would block me from the wind, or maybe I'd find a cutout on a lower bluff that would be in the full, whatever I was looking for that day. And then I would pull out my compass and I would go, hey, which way am I facing? But what do you know about the compass? If you've played with the compass, is that when you hold the compass in your hand and you first want to look where north is, the needle of the compass is all jittery. It bounces all around and you have to set it down. Actually, this wouldn't work. It'd have to be flat, right? You set it down and get it as flat as you can, and then it will show you where true north is. I think that's really good advice for us. We got a true north in us. We got a compass in us, but we got to sit down so all that jittery stuff can settle and we can remember which way truth points for us. Where is your true north? Now, I did this, I dug and then I made a hole and then I whined to Rod this morning, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this hole because I have all this scientific stuff that's a little hard for me to understand. But the reason a compass points north, Reverend Clyde is sitting back there going, well, just take the whole part out. Don't even say that part of the talk. It'll save a lot of time. Ha ha, gonna say it anyway. Oh, I had to rib him because he picked on me last night about how long my talks are. Okay, your turn. You owe me one now. Not right now though. We'll play later. So the reason the compass points north is because the earth is magnetized. Miss Tracy, Reverend, that was one of the first words out of your mouth when you stood behind this lectern today. You said it's something about being magnetized, and I'm over in the corner going, I love how everything gets synchronized so we're all on the same page. All right, so the earth has two poles. We have a south pole and a north pole, right? And so the metals in the earth, mostly nickel and iron. Did you know that? I did not know that. The nickel and iron, and it's all solid in the very center of the earth. But the closer you get to the peripheral, the edges of the earth, it becomes liquid, not liquid like water. It becomes movable. That's how they use that term in science sometimes. So the needle of the compass is magnetized, and because the core of the earth metals are so solid, they create I'm going to read it to you. A field, yes, that's the word I needed. It creates a magnetized field. So here's how it says it. The core of the earth is mainly iron and nickel. The inner core of the metals are solid, but on the outer core, they're liquid and in constant motion. Influenced by the earth's rotation. I hope I went the right way. The liquid metals move in spiral currents, and I love that. I wanted to read that because we often talk about here the way that life is always evolving in this upward spiral, forever and ever expanding. Those are the words we often use when we talk spiritually of what's happening on the planet in terms of current events or our own lives, or the way that Moses led the Israelites through the wilderness, and they had the ability to have electricity, but they had not evolved in consciousness to harness the power of electricity. Eventually we do. So things are always changing, and we're getting more and more information, and we're always evolving in that upward way. It's the way you can see Mother Nature Mother Nature. Nature, continues to keep everything organized on the planet, and when things get out of balance, she corrects. We don't always like it, but she's always cleaning up our messes, you might say, like a good mother. And that's called all of that is the principle. The principle is called the dynamo effect. So thank you, Rod. It's a magnetic field that surrounds the earth, and it impacts anything that is magnetized, and it tells the story of our own existence on the planet, our humanity. That we talk about the polar opposites, do we not? In spiritual terms, we talk about the dualities, that there's good, but there's bad. There's health and there's sickness. There's lack and there's infinite possibilities. And so we see things much the way in the Tao they see that they have the yin-yang symbol, the black and the white, the feminine and the masculine and all of those things. So there are polar opposites, and the way we see that on the planet in the physical science is that in Australia and Argentina, they have summer when we have winter. Right? So we're celebrating the winter solstice and we're doing Christmas in the winter, and they're having their summertime. And do you know that their winter solstice is the same date as our summer solstice? I did not realize this. It makes sense. And our summer solstice is their, well, you know what I'm saying. It's like just the opposite of ours. So I find that fascinating. And so what we know is, spiritually, we want to find sometimes we call it our true north. We want to get back to the truth of us. We want to get back to our center and know that everything is going to be okay. So I sometimes hear spiritual teachers talk about polarity when we're trying to teach you wholeness. So sometimes we say in this teaching and in all of New Thought Unity and Divine Science and all the spiritual, open at the top sort of spiritual teachings, we sometimes talk about looking at if this were a pole, like it would be more interesting if I had found a little pole, but I couldn't. By the time I thought about it, it was too late. But so I'm going to use this to represent wholeness or allness of spiritual principles. And within this, it's a ruler. In this representation of life everything is whole and perfect and complete. If I'm going to be speaking about health, we would say that all the health you need, health is fully, completely provided for. It's all right here. It's contained in this, representing this. But each of us, as individualized expressions of the divine, each of us created in our own unique way. None of us are the same in hardly anything, even siblings, or especially siblings. I have 4 kids. I swear they could not have had the same 2 parents, but they did. Right, honey? So let's say we're talking about health. Everything you need to be in the complete expression of well-being in terms of health is contained in the allness. But we as individuals have our own take on how we see that, as how we define health and well-being, as how we perceive what's possible in our own experience of that. And the same is true if this were to be representing the well-being of our life in terms of prosperity. It's like all is given, but we will show up either on one end or the other. So one end represents the allness of perfect health, complete, perfect, vibrant, invigorated health, and down here would be illness, and health seems to be missing. And we relate to health in a very personal way, and we find our own place through living our life, through living the best life we can in the body that we show up in, right? So some of us are just born healthy, you know, and others are not. Others have things that don't seem as perfect as others. And, you know, everybody here, we could, you know, I asked you to say, what do you accept? What's your word? What's your quality that you know? And I could ask you the opposite, and you would know that much quicker than you would know your quality, right? Because you have decided in some way in your mental perception of who you are and how you interact in the world where you are. So now, let's say it's health and you get a diagnosis and the diagnosis scares the bejeebers out of you. Your idea of perfect health is way down here now. Now you feel you have been given a diagnosis. People will say to me sometimes, Reverend Karen, I have to have chemotherapy. And I always say, you mean you've chosen to have chemotherapy? Right? You're here. They offer you a treatment. You choose it then because you want to get right back up here. Right? You don't have to choose chemo. There are other ways. You know, every one of us gets to, well, I guess not if you have a family that really is influencing you. You know, you might choose for your family, but then you're choosing for love. You're choosing to help your family feel better with this. You do it together as a family, right? So all is given. All is given. And what we manifest as we're living our life has to do with at what level we want to play. So my message this morning is about inviting you to play at a very high level, to know that divine providence is always active in our lives in the same way that there's that the field that is polarized around the earth is invisible. You can't see it. But man, that compass knows when you set it down and you let it get still, the compass knows how to find north. We are here to grow into what is given. This was given to me, not my clothes, my being, right? And my flaws are the things I look at. And so when we're young, when we're spiritually young, we want to fix all our flaws. But when we deepen in spirituality, when we strengthen our reverence and awe for life, for the Creator, for this life that we've been given, for the privilege of bringing our gifts to the world, when we strengthen that, we begin to not see things so broken. We become more self-accepting, and when we are more self-accepting, we are way more accepting with each other. What the world needs is spiritual revival. What the world needs is for us to hunker down and get our feet square on the ground and settle ourselves so we're not so jittery, to know our true north, and to live our best, most wonderful, remarkable life we could. And that's what I wanted to say today. Think we should pray on it? I do too. Hell yeah. Oh, listen to that. Oh, now that takes me right to center. Just begin to feel the love that hovers in this room. Wherever you are, as you're listening to these words, sense the presence of love surrounding you, supporting you. We are held sweetly in the hands of God's sweet love. I feel the love of God at the core of my being, where truth is solid, where life is clear and wisdom is revealed. I feel that presence of God in this very space. Remembering again that there is no place where God is not. So right where we are, right now in this very moment, the presence of God is the substance of our lives and of the life and well-being of this planet, of this universe. I feel and sense that love of God as the activity and the movement of spirit itself. The needle of the compass always pointing us in the direction of our well-being, allowing us to imagine a greater experience of health, a greater experience of financial well-being and security, a greater experience of love in all of our relationships, and certainly healing as we open ourselves to recognize the acceptance of God's love is the forgiveness of any errors or sins that we have perceived in our lives. We remember that if God is forgiving, then we must be for receiving. So we open ourselves to receive that love, to receive the grace of God that is streaming and pouring into our lives. We become vessels so that we might take what we need this day, that we might be clear, that we have a quality, a divine quality that is truly who we are. And we allow that beautiful goodness of the gift of God as our quality. We allow it to shine. We pull off the bushel basket so that we can shine completely and fully in the way that God has called us to be. So we stand in this centered and grounded space, and we let the needle find its own stillness so that any appearance of jittering around is just vanished, it's gone, and we are completely clear in the direction that we are to move, the next best step to take in our own lives. The guidance is always the Godward vision answered into our awareness. So I say thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, infinite spirit, for helping us again to be aware of our God-given gifts. We are created in the image and the likeness of spirit itself, and therefore we are creative beings. We acknowledge the life of Jesus as the master teacher who lived in such a way that he could be an example, that he can be the elder brother for us to love and imitate and just know that even more is possible. So we touch the hem of the garment. We allow ourselves to be restored and revitalized, and we stand in that place of spiritual conviction to the truths that we know are our truths to live. And so in this spirit of deep and dedicated gratitude, I simply release the words of this prayer into that dynamic law in the universe that always speaks back to us. Yes, my child, yes. We let it be, and together we say, and so it is. Amen. Amen.
Grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. Everywhere I look and every face I see is love reflected shining back to me. I just give thanks for all these simple things, the joy and peace that gratitude brings. That's why I'm grateful. grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have.
Oh, thank you, Bradfords. And we are grateful. So, sticking with the theme of being remarkable, I'm really wanting to invite each one of you to be thinking about what you do that is remarkable throughout the day, throughout the week, the month, and over the course of the year. It would be really nice if each person came up here and shared something remarkable about their lives. So just be thinking about that. I want to invite you to that right now, and I'll give you an example. So so we did the Gourmets for God last night. I cannot thank Julie enough for really, getting this up and running. And this has been the most wonderful experience for the community. But something remarkable. So Mark and I both enjoy cooking and hosting dinner parties and stuff like that. But what you guys don't know is that when we do the dinners, I actually start setting up the table like a day before, because I'm creating the container of that place of love for everybody to come into our home and just enjoy themselves. And it works. Did you have fun? It works. So that's an example of being remarkable. So just be thinking about something that you're doing remarkable, so we can share with the community. So now's the time to think of the joyous abundance of our lives and the abundance of our community. So I just want to remind you that we have our donation box and our tithe box. There's one going into Papke Hall in the back of the room, and there's also one in the bookstore, so we don't pass around the offering plate. So if you can just hold your hand over your heart, or hold your donation over your heart, and let's say our giving affirmation together. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Please rise for our last song. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Sing that. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. I ain't thinking about my problems. I'm living now. I'm living now. And I ain't gonna worry about the future. I'm living now. I'm living now. So put your hands up if you feel like having a good time. Put your hands up if you're sharing love with all. Raise your cup if you're hopeful for tomorrow. Put your hands up if you're ready to have some fun. Now sing it. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. One more time. Oh, it feels so good to be alive.
All right, yay. All right, so if we can just say our closing affirmation, just repeat after me. We are remarkable.
We are remarkable.
We are remarkable.
We are remarkable.
And so it is.